Hello, church family, and today we're going to be in Romans chapter 1. What an incredible and rich book Romans is. It is awesome. And so we could spend a year in this book. It is so good. And in chapter 1, Paul kind of gets straight to the point. He's going to talk about some of the things that he needs to address with this community of believers. And really what we see here, especially towards the end, what we see is that it looks like the influence of the world has kind of impacted their community. And that happens, right? That happened back here, and that's still happening today, right? The world and the darkness of the world and the sin of the world, it influences and impacts a community of believers. It can have a huge hold on a community of believers. And so Paul here in this language, and the way that he says, he really does make an attempt to talk about all the way through this book, but even in the first chapter, the importance of being set apart from the world, the importance of looking different from the world. And I think what Paul does here in this first chapter is that he really focuses on encouragement before kind of stepping in to the ugliness that is in their culture. And that's where I want us to focus. In verse 8, it says this. Let's get right into it. It says, "First, I thank my God through Jesus Christ for you all, because your faith is proclaimed in all the world. For God is my witness, whom I serve with my spirit in the gospel of his Son, that without ceasing I mention you always in my prayers, asking that somehow by God's will I may now at last succeed in coming to you. For I long to see you, that I may impart to you some spiritual gift to strengthen you. That is, that we may be mutually encouraged by each other's faith, both yours and mine. I do not want you to be unaware, brothers, that I have often intended to come to you, but thus far have been prevented, in order that I may reap some harvest among you, as well as among the rest of the Gentiles. I am under obligation, both to the Greeks and to the barbarians, both to the wise and to the foolish. So I am eager to preach the gospel to you also who are in Rome." Right? Paul, it's clear that the Romans have wanted Paul to come and be amongst them, to come and encourage them, and it just hasn't worked out yet. But Paul gives them encouragement. Paul shows them this. He recognizes, I haven't been able to make it, but you best bet the world has heard about what the Lord is doing in Rome. That's really cool, right? He says that has been proclaimed to all the world. We have encouraged so many people that the Lord and his kingdom and the work is being done in Rome. The Lord is present there, and there is believers there, and the Lord is moving in Rome. And Paul is excited about this, right? He says, I remember you always in my thoughts and my prayers. I think of you often, just wanting to just be there with you. And I think sometimes when we live in a culture that has us beat down, sometimes when we have to step into a workplace that is tough to deal with, when we see the darkness and the sin of this world, and it makes us just defeated and shelter in place, we need to remember that the Lord is still doing a work. We need to remember that the Lord is still working. He is still moving. There are things to be excited about. He is still continuing to do what he has always done, which is to bring salvation, which is to redeem and to restore and to save. And we need to remember that. And I think as believers, don't let the world get you so beat apart that you forget to listen and hear of the many things that the Lord is doing. I think that happens so much. Even in my own personal life, I give so much focus to the bad and the ugly, and I just focus so much on that. And I'll hear something great and wonderful that the Lord has done, and it doesn't move me the way that it should. And I've got to correct myself. I got to look at Paul. I got to look at what Paul writes here and be excited about what the Lord is doing. I think that's the way to combat this idea or this feeling of defeat, this feeling of shame, right? This feeling of wanting to kind of shelter in place. I think The way to counter that is to be excited. I mean, just take this week at Willowbrook as an example. It's VBS week. VBS is happening on both our campuses, and the Lord is going to save. We can count on Him. The Lord is going to bring salvation. He is going to move in these kids' lives. And we should be excited like Paul. We should want to go and see those people that put this on, go rub shoulders with the volunteers that are helping, that got to see God at work right there and got to just witness what the Lord did. And we should want to go and be around those people coming off mission trips. We should want to go see those team members and hear about what the Lord is doing around our world. The Lord is not defeated. He's the victor. He's the overcomer. And the Lord is still at work. And that is something that we need to get excited for. But like we've already said, like I said, it's tough because in this culture, what Paul is going to have to address here, right? This culture, this darkness, this sin has kind of maybe invaded their community, and it invades our life on a daily basis. And it puts us in this place of defeat. We don't get excited about those things. But then Paul says this in verse 16. And this is a good word. It's so good. Verse 16, he says, "For I not ashamed of the gospel, for it is the power of God for salvation to everyone who believes, to the Jew first and also the Greek. For in it the righteousness of God is revealed from faith for faith. As it is written, the righteous shall live by faith." Right? Paul's got to address, hey, we can't let this influence of our culture creep into our world. We got to separate ourselves from that. We got to make sure that we're set apart from that. We've got to want to live for the Lord. And that is what the book of Romans, Paul just goes after, right? He just really talks about that. It's really, really good. And we need to recognize that. We don't need to let the world invade this space where we should be excited about what the Lord is doing and the work that He's doing. We should not we should not be a defeated person walking into our workspaces and into the world. We should know that we carry with us the power of salvation. We carry with us the hope of the world. And that is not something to be ashamed about. That is not something that should put us in a defeated state. That is something that should bring hope and victory into our own personal lives. And so to combat all that ugliness, all that sin in the world, all these things that we have to deal with on a daily basis, I encourage you with this. Next time you hear about something the Lord is doing, small or big, get excited about it. Focus on it. Just give thanks and praise to the Lord. Just recognize like, wow, Lord, you would bring that to my attention today. I want to go meet that person. I want to go talk to that person. I want to go to lunch with that person because I want to hear what the Lord has done there and what the Lord is continuing to do. Do not be ashamed of the gospel. Don't be ashamed. And I cannot wait for us to get into the rest of the book of Romans. Cannot wait. It's going to be great. So church family, thank you so much for what you're doing. And I encourage you, get excited this week about what the Lord is doing. Look for those things where the Lord is moving. And church family, we love you. And if you need anything, let us know. We'll see you later. All right. Bye.